Always take credit, which means praise, for your work and the good you do. Don't be too humble or others will steal your praise, and it will look like they are the useful one, not you. I know many of us come from families where we just do what is right without expecting or wanting any attention for it. But when you are dealing with people, people are not your family. When you do things, you have to make people know you are the one responsible for doing it, so that they don't go and give that praise to somebody else. Sometimes you need to announce the good you are doing for people. If not, they won't even see or know the good you are doing for them. Here are the examples, across every area of life, home and compound. 1. You cut the grass in the compound. A neighbor is outside doing something minor when the landlord arrives. The landlord assumes the neighbor cut the grass. The neighbor gets the praise and the favor. 2. You repair the fence gate that has been broken for months. A neighbor works over and tightens one screw after you finish. The landlord sees the neighbor at the gate and thanks them for fixing it. 3. You clear the drainage in the compound that has been blocked for weeks. Later that day another tenant pours a bucket of water nearby. The landlord sees the water flowing and praises that tenant for sorting out the drainage. 4. You repaired the meat pan as you described. You did the real work quietly. A neighbor came and added finishing touches. They collected every drop of the credit. 5. You paint the compound wall. A neighbor adds one stroke at the edge when the landlord is watching. The landlord calls that neighbor hardworking in front of everyone. 6. You buy a new bulb and fix the compound light that has been dark for a month. A neighbor flips the switch when the landlord walks past. The landlord thinks the neighbor fixed the light. 7. You deep clean the shared bathroom over the weekend. A neighbor sprays air freshener in there on Monday morning just as the landlord walks by. The landlord compliments the neighbor on keeping the bathroom clean. Workplace. 8. You spend 3 months building a client relationship from scratch. You hit a conflict with your manager right before the deal closes. A colleague steps in for the final meeting. The deal closes. The colleague gets the commission and the recognition. 9. You write a full proposal for a new business idea and share it with your team in a meeting. 2 weeks later a louder colleague presents the same idea to senior management as their own. Management funds it and credits them. 10. You train a new staff member from scratch. They learn everything from you. 6 months later they get promoted above you because leadership only sees their output, not who built them. 11. You fix a recurring technical problem in the office system that has been frustrating everyone for months. You do it quietly over a weekend. On Monday a colleague reboots the system in front of the manager and the manager thinks the colleague resolved the issue. 12. You build a client database over 6 months. You leave the company. Your replacement inherits the database, makes 3 calls, closes deals, and gets celebrated as a top performer in their first month. 13. You develop a strategy for a failing department. You get removed from the project due to office politics. A new person is brought in, implements your strategy word for word, and is promoted for turning the department around. 14. You write a report that changes how the company operates. Your manager presents it to the board without mentioning your name. The board praises your manager for innovative thinking. 15. You have been quietly mentoring a junior colleague. They grow visibly. Leadership notices their growth and attributes it entirely to their own talent. Nobody asks who was shaping them behind the scenes. 16. You arrive early every day and set up everything before your team arrives. Nobody sees this because they are not there. The colleague who arrives last but greets the manager loudly every morning is considered the most the team. 17. You identify a major problem that could cost the company a significant client. You raise it through the proper channels and it gets fixed. No announcement is made. A colleague who was seed on your email casually mentions it to the client as something the team caught. The client praises that colleague directly. 18. You have been maintaining a key business relationship for 2 years. You go on leave. A colleague takes one lunch meeting with that client. The client sends a glowing email about the colleague to management. 19. You create a new filing and organization system that makes the whole office more efficient. A new manager joins and sees the system in place. They assume it was always there or assume it was the previous manager's doing. You never get mentioned. 20. You negotiate a vendor down to a much better rate over several conversations spanning weeks. On the final call your manager joins and says one sentence. The manager tells leadership they secured a great deal. Business and entrepreneurship. 21. You build a business concept from scratch with a partner. You do most of the thinking, the planning, and the early groundwork. A conflict arises. You step back. The partner continues, uses everything you built, and the business succeeds. The world only knows their name. 22. You create a social media strategy for a brand that takes 6 months to gain traction. You part ways with the client before the traction becomes obvious. A new social media manager takes over and posts twice. The page explodes. The new manager gets the credit for the growth you seeded. 23. You build an audience over 2 years of consistent content. A collaborator joins for one viral video. Their name gets attached to the growth moment even though you built the platform that gave the video its reach. 24. You develop a product idea and share it with an investor who passes. A year later that investor funds someone else building the exact same product. The idea was yours. The funding went elsewhere. 25. You spend a year building a client base for a company as a contractor. They end the contract and bring in a full-time employee. That employee inherits your clients, your relationships, and your reputation with those clients. They become the star of the team. 26. You build a WhatsApp or Telegram community to a significant size. A partner who helped minimally gets introduced as the co-founder in every public mention because they have a louder voice in those spaces. 27. You design a product that fails in its first release. You fix everything quietly in version 2. By version 2 another person has joined and is present for the success. They become the face of the product. Family. 28. You send money home consistently for years without making a big deal of it. One sibling sends money once during a visible family crisis. At the next family gathering, that sibling is praised as the one who takes care of the family. 29. You are the one who has been looking after an elderly parent day to day, cooking, cleaning, medical appointments. A sibling who lives abroad comes home for 2 weeks and takes the parent on one outing. The parent tells everyone how wonderful that sibling is. 30. You plan and organize a family event entirely. A relative arrives on the day, stands at the entrance, and welcomes guests. That relative gets praised for hosting a wonderful event. 31. You save money for months toward a family project. Another family member makes the final payment when everyone is watching. The family celebrates that person for making the project happen. 32. You raise a younger sibling practically on your own while your parents were unavailable. When that sibling succeeds, the parents take full credit for raising them well. Your role is never mentioned. 33. You repair a family relationship that was broken for years through quiet conversations and behind-the-scenes work. At the reconciliation gathering, a relative says one speech and becomes celebrated as the peacemaker of the family. Social media and content. 34. You create a concept or a series that gains slow traction. A bigger creator covers the same concept and blows up with it. The audience that discovers the topic through the bigger creator never knows you originated it. 35. You post an idea that gets low engagement. Someone with a larger following reposts the same idea in their own words 2 weeks later to massive response. They get the viral moment. You get nothing. 36. You build a niche audience over years of consistent posting. A collaborator joins for one project. That project gets the most attention of your career. Media inquiries go to the collaborator because they were more visible in the viral moment. 37. You develop a format, a specific style of video, a specific type of content structure that starts working. Others copy the format. Some of them execute it to a bigger audience than you have. Now they are associated with the format you created. 38. You write a caption or a quote that gets shared widely without attribution. Someone with a platform reposts it with no credit. Their audience assumes it came from them. Community and social settings. 39. You organize a community initiative quietly for months. On the day of the launch, a popular figure in the community shows up and gives a short speech. The community associates the initiative with that person forever. 40. You raise awareness about a community issue over a long period. A local leader picks up the cause publicly right before a resolution. The resolution gets credited to their advocacy. 41. You coach a local sports team through a difficult season. A new coach joins for the final 3 games and the team wins the championship. The new coach is celebrated. Your work during the hard season is forgotten. 42. You volunteer regularly and quietly for a community organization. A newcomer volunteers once for a high-visibility event. They are featured in the newsletter. You are not mentioned. 43. You are the person who has been keeping a friendship group together through regular check-ins and organizing gatherings. You miss one season due to personal issues. Another person takes over organizing temporarily. The group now credits that person as the glue that holds everyone together. School and academic settings. 44. You do most of the work for a group project. The most confident member of the group presents it. The lecturer praises the presenter. Your contribution is absorbed into the group grade but your name is not in anyone's memory. 45. You tutor a classmate privately and help them understand the entire syllabus. They score higher than you in the exam. The lecturer uses them as an example of excellence. You are not mentioned. 46. You develop an idea for a student initiative. You share it in a group. A more socially connected student takes the idea to the student union. It gets approved under their name. They become the founder. 47. You help a classmate with their thesis research substantially. They graduate with distinction. Their acknowledgement page thanks you briefly in the middle of a long list. The distinction is fully theirs. 48. You identify the answer during a study session and explain it to the group. In class the next day, a group mate raises the same answer confidently. The lecturer praises them for their sharp thinking. Relationships. 49. You spend years building someone up emotionally, their confidence, their self-worth, their ability to function in the world. They leave the relationship. In their next relationship, they are celebrated for being emotionally mature and put together. Their new partner gets the benefit of everything you built. 50. You introduce 2 people who end up in a successful business or romantic relationship. Over time, your role in the connection is forgotten. You are not even mentioned at their wedding or at the business launch. 51. You are the reason a friend got a job opportunity. You put in a word, made the introduction, vouched for them. Over time, they credit their own skills and hustle for the position. Your role disappears from the story. 52. You help a friend recover from a dark period, mental health, financial collapse, relationship breakdown. They recover fully and rebuild their life. When they tell their story publicly about how they overcame that period, they credit God, themselves, and personal resilience. You are not in the narrative. 53. You built a social cycle for someone who was isolated when they came into your life. Years later, that person is well connected and socially thriving. They introduce themselves everywhere as someone who built their own network. They have forgotten that you handed them the foundation of it. Creative work. 54. You ghostwrite content for someone. Speeches, scripts, articles, books. They deliver it to the world under their name. The world praises their voice and their ideas. You are contractually invisible. 55. You come up with a song concept, a melody idea, or a lyrical direction in a writing session. A more established artist in the room develops it further and records it. The song credits do not include you. 56. You design a visual identity for a brand, the colors, the logo concept, the overall aesthetic. A falling out happens before the contract is finalized. The brand takes your work, makes minor modifications, and uses it. Someone else gets credited for the design in interviews. 57. You develop a business name, a slogan, or a brand concept informally with a partner. The partnership dissolves. They keep the name. The market associates it entirely with them. Medical and professional services. 58. A doctor manages a patient through the most difficult and uncertain stage of an illness, the diagnosis, the treatment plan, the hard conversations. The patient transfers to a specialist for the final stage of recovery. The specialist is the one the patient credits for saving their life. 59. A therapist works with a client through the deepest and most painful layers of their healing over years. The client moves to a new therapist for the final stage of their journey. The second therapist witnesses the breakthrough and becomes the hero of the client's recovery story. 60. An accountant restructures a company's finances over 2 years, making the hard decisions that set up future profitability. They are replaced right before a great financial year. The new accountant files the reports and gets praised for the company's performance. Construction and physical work. 61. You dig the foundation of a building, the hardest, most invisible part of construction. Workers come to lay the visible bricks. The owner walks past, sees bricks going up, and praises the bricklayers. Nobody mentions the foundation. 62. You clear and level a piece of land over days of hard physical work. Someone comes to plant flowers in the prepared soil. The owner sees beautiful planting happening and compliments the planter on their good work. 63. You rewire a building's electrical system entirely, a complex, dangerous, and skilled job. A handyman comes afterwards to install light fittings. The owner tells everyone the handyman did a wonderful job fixing the building. Church and religious settings. 64. You have been praying for someone consistently for months during a difficult period in their life. A pastor prays for them once publicly during a service and the breakthrough comes. The congregation credits the pastor's prayer. Your months of quiet intercession are invisible. 65. You build a church program from scratch, the structure, the curriculum, the relationships with members. A conflict with leadership leads to your exit. A new coordinator takes over and the program continues to succeed on your foundation. They are celebrated at the next anniversary. 66. You tithe consistently and give toward a building project quietly over years. A wealthy member makes one large public donation near completion. Their name goes on the building. Digital A&D take. 67. You build the back end of an application, all the complex invisible infrastructure that makes everything run. A front-end developer builds the interface that users see and interact with. The app launches. The press covers it. Every interview focuses on the visible product. The back-end work is never discussed. 68. You spend months doing SEO work on a website, invisible technical optimization. The site starts ranking. A new marketing person joins and sends one email campaign. Traffic spikes. The email campaign gets credited for the growth. 69. You build automation systems that save a company hours of work every week. When leadership notices productivity improvements, they attribute it to the team working harder. The systems you built are not part of the conversation. The pattern across all 69. Every single one of these follows the same logic. Someone builds in the dark. Someone else appears in the light. The world, which only pays attention to visible moments, assigns credit to whoever it can see. Not whoever did the work. The solution is always the same. Attach your name to your work while the work is happening. Not after, not at the end, during, because the end is when the thieves arrive.